I've received recently either phone calls or emails from some consumers down here in either Mobile or Baldwin County, and they're complaining because their homeowners renewal premiums went up 10% or 15% or even more. And they're saying, you know, wait a minute, we didn't have a hurricane last year. I haven't had a claim in a couple of years. Why is my premium going up? Because surely my insurance company made a lot of money last year. And actually the answer is no, your insurance company probably didn't make a lot of money last year. For 2009 in the state of Alabama, if you looked at all of the homeowners insurance writers, they had a loss and loss adjustment expense ratio of about 98%. So that means that for every $100 of premium that they collected on homeowners policies, they paid out $98 just to pay for claims and for the adjusting of those claims. Over the last 5 years here in Alabama, I would estimate from data that I've seen, probably 1/3 of all of the homeowners insurance losses were cat losses, okay, 1/3. And obviously a good bit of that is coming off of the coast. So you've got the carriers who are having to decide, how do I continue to generate these kinds of results in Alabama from the wind? And so some of them are deciding to pull back, not to write the wind or not to write homeowners at all, you know, down here on the coast. And obviously that's a problem from us, I guess, socially with regard to all of the workers that live down here. So you have to look at, you know, what are the ways to try and bring those coastal premiums, homeowners premiums down. We strongly believe that the mitigation discounts, the fortification and retrofitting of the homes is one of the key solutions to the coastal problem that we have here.
And I think as we found in developing our coastal plan and talking about just insurance and availability, affordability, how to get there, we have found that it's fortifying and preparing and mitigating that saves lives,
right.
Number one.
Exactly.
Saves disruption, number two, and obviously saves money for the consumer, and you know, it makes a difference. So we couldn't agree with you more in terms of mitigation.
As the reason we sort of took a look at insurance as an area for us to concentrate on is because we were seeing so many of our families having difficulty making payments on their houses. And as we started investigating what the difference is between when they were making payments fine and when they're having trouble, one of the biggest factors has been the insurance premiums have, since Hurricane Katrina, have doubled, in some cases tripled. And when your payment, your mortgage, actual mortgage payment is only $75 a month, and you have insurance premiums of $125 a month, that's a pretty big thing for us to start paying attention to. So that's why we started to take a look at it. And then we also realized in talking to families that some of them, their way of dealing with that was to underinsure. And as the mortgage holder on those 80 properties, that's something we don't want to see. We were going to build 3 houses. The first one, as I said, we built that bank vault with windows, and that's where I'm headed in hurricane. And what we're trying to do is build what we call the middle fortified house. This house we expect to have a cost of 15%, or in this case, $15,000. Thank you, travelers, who's covering that difference for us, the difference between a regular house and the fortified house. And then after that, we're going to follow that up in the next year with a third house. That'll be a standard wood construction house for us, almost our regular house that we build. Then we'll take all the additional steps. And then we're going to watch it over the course of 3 to 5 years and measure the differences in insurance premiums, energy costs, because as you can imagine, the energy savings on a concrete home should be higher. Really, what we're looking to do is just figure out what is the best way, the smartest way for Habitat of Baldwin County anyway, to build affordable housing here on out.
The Travelers Wind Zone Plan has 4 key principles. The first principle that we stepped back and looked at is, how is insurance regulated? We would like to see wind zones when we think about coastal insurance. The state, if you look at the states and you look at the size of the different coastal, you know, Mississippi coast is pretty small versus, you know, you look at the risk across a broader geography. The second item that we want to do is we want to talk about increased transparency in these wind rates. Our suggestion is that there's an independent commission set up to evaluate these models and certify that these models are appropriate to be used in rates versus, you know, 20 individual states looking at these models. And then if over time that these models are not consistent with actual experience, our program would require a mandated credit to consumers to account for some difference going forward. The third principle in our plan is federal reinsurance for extreme events. So when we talk about extreme events, we're talking about events multiple the size of Katrina. So we advocate the federal government provide the insurance industry federal reinsurance for those extreme events, not a backstop. The insurance industry has to pay a premium for that coverage. The difference would be the industry would pay a premium for the loss costs, not for the profit. And the last and most important principle is mitigation. And mitigation is so important. We're advocating federal development of building codes. Not to say that the building code in Galveston is the same as Birmingham, building codes that reflect the perils and the risk of those local communities.
Building to fortified standards can protect you and give you peace of mind. And even if you do that, what Travelers wants to do is give you additional peace of mind by providing insurance on the structure. Charles mentioned we do provide a discount of 35% on the homeowner's premium, and we're happy to be working with the department on these credits. In addition to that, we're launching a pilot in the state of Alabama. And what we're doing is we're expanding our areas of eligibility for these mitigated homes to a broader geographical region. And we're now accepting applications for coverage of up to $1 million in insurance limits. And that's important because if you're familiar with the wind pool, they only offer coverage up to $500,000. So we're excited about this program. In conjunction with our credits and discounts, we think we can be competitive in areas in the coast.